Welcome back to the Dr. Chris Radio Horror Show. Tonight on Radio Horror, we have a distinguished guest on the show with us, one of the most beautiful actresses I have probably ever had on the show, and you can check her out in such movies such as Blood-Covered Chocolate, which is coming up soon, as well as Sharkansas's Women's Prison Massacre, and other unusual sci-fi horror monster movies that she's been in over her very long career. We have Christine Nguyen on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on the show, Chris.
You have a long career going back to the mid to early 2000s.
I have, yeah. I've been acting actually since I was in middle school. And so I started out in plays. And then when I moved out here to California, to LA, that's when I started doing more TV, film, and commercials.
Do you want to hear something really funny? We have, and not to give it away, people, but we have the same birthday year 1 month apart from each other.
Wow.
Exactly 1 month apart from each other. Mine's tomorrow, and then...
Exciting. Mine's February 4th, all around Super Bowl time, always.
Well, hopefully your team is in the Super Bowl. Who's your team?
The LA Rams.
The LA Rams. How are they doing this season?
The Rams or the Cowboys or the Texans. So, but everyone else is out of it now except for the Rams. And the Rams were in it 2 years ago, which is really nice. And it was... I always celebrate my birthday basically with Super Bowl because there's always that party would always trump my party. So every year it's always been on the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, or after the Super Bowl. And I think this year it is, I think the day after or something. Yeah, but that's a good way to remember my birthday.
What were you doing in middle school for acting? Like, were you in television, movies, and stuff?
Mostly plays. I was always in the drama club, and I did a lot of tournaments too. And mostly tournaments just kind of prepare you to be an actor because you have to do things like poetry, prose, improvisation. And so after doing all the tournaments, I was in a lot of one-act plays, and then also a lot of school plays. And then I moved out to regional theater. But, being where I'm from, which is Texas, there wasn't that big of an entertainment industry as far as radio, TV, and film. And so mostly what I was doing there was just plays. And then I did a lot of commercial modeling throughout high school and then college.
What kind of commercials?
Well, my first commercial that I did in college was a McDonald's commercial. That's where I cut my teeth.
Oh, that's awesome. What was the, what did you have to eat the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, multiple takes, or was it thankfully once?
For an entire day, I ate cheeseburgers, and it was an industrial commercial. It's when they changed their uniforms over. And so they did all these different, it's a new look for McDonald's. But yeah, I ate cheeseburgers almost all day, but you don't really eat them. It's like, you're about to eat it or you bite into it and they call cut and they replace it with a brand new one. It's the same shot over and over again. So you never really eat. Maybe throughout the whole day, I finished maybe one cheeseburger if I counted up all my bites. But it's not like people think you're eating all day. No.
That would make you sick, basically.
And if you eat it wrong, if they do it close up and you eat it wrong and something oozes out the wrong way, the wrong side, or a pickle chip falls out, they have to redo the whole shot. So not as glamorous as fun as people might think it would be.
I'm reminded of the episode of Friends where Joey has to eat soup and he keeps getting the line wrong.
Yeah.
And the kid slams his fist down. Come on! I think it was like a Campbell's soup kind of commercial thing. My brother once tried to do a commercial, and my mom told me the story of it took forever to get there, and when he got there, he goes to the audition and just starts acting ridiculous, and that was the end of the audition.
Oh well, not for everybody.
I don't even know what the commercial was, but I remember she said that he begged to do it, and it just never happened. I read some interesting factoid that your parents wanted you to do something, so you went to school for one thing, but you ended up becoming an actress?
I did, yeah. So in most of the bios that you can find on the internet, it pretty much, I tell my story, and it says that, I went to law school because before I went acting, I have Asian parents, or had Asian parents. They're both deceased now. But actually, today's the anniversary of my mother's death. But Yeah, so when my parents had always wanted me to be either a doctor or an attorney or an engineer, one of the three safety things,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't cut pre med because I'm terrible at science, physics, and chemistry. And so I thought, well, I'm good at writing and I'm really great at presentations. So they had a family discussion and they decided, well, she's going to go to law school, which is how Asian families work. Sometimes it's pretty much family discussion that they decide for you. And so I went to law school, but then a year into law school, my first year in law school, I got a call to come out and shoot for Playboy out here in LA. And so I took a week off without telling my parents and came out here to shoot. And then I met a lot of people through Playboy. It's a great organization and they really set you up, and it's a really good networking organization. And when I got out of here, I kind of got the bug, like I can do it, I can come out here and I can make entertainment happen for me. So I went up, finished the year off in law school, and then just packed my car up and drove out here, and I've been out here ever since. Yeah, so law school never worked out for me. But when I did come out here, instead of waiting tables and like bartending, which is what most actors do, as a job that keeps them afloat while they're trying to get the acting jobs, I worked at two law firms instead, part timing. So I kind of got the law thing in. Yeah.
You got it in there. You just got it in there, so that way you could make mom and dad happy.
Totally. And they were so happy. And they kept on saying, I remember all the attorneys there, they were kind of like, my father is out here, and the eyes and ears for my parents. My parents would always call them and say, you just got to convince her to go back to law school. It would be great. And they were always telling me, you know what, you'd be good in law school. But yeah, no, it was never going to happen for me. But I have much respect for attorneys, though, and the whole legal profession.
Have you played any attorneys in a fictional setting in your movies?
No, I haven't, but I've played courtroom scenes a lot, though.
Gotcha.
Never played a judge, but I've been in a couple of courtroom scenes.
Getting a job at Playboy, you said it's they set you up, it's glamorous. Is it as everything that cinema makes Playboy out to be? Bright, shiny, just the best nude modeling magazine to work for.
You know what? When I worked there, which I worked with them for over almost a decade.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're really good. It's like if they like you, they really take you on as their family. And I had come out here to shoot, to do like a show for them, and I actually won the show. It was called Sexy Girls Next Door. And so I won that contest, and then I went on to shoot for a couple of their books, magazines. And then they had just opened up, or they just started the Playboy channel. And so I did a couple of shows on the Playboy channel, and then I did a lot of promos for them. And throughout like a decade, I worked with them, and they were, and I don't know. I mean, it's different now because a lot of people have passed on, especially with Hef passing on. It's a different organization now. But when I was working with them, they were the cream of the crop. I mean, they, like when I was living in, Texas, I never thought, I would ever, I was a lot more conservative than I am now. And I probably was a lot more shy than I am now. But when I came out, they make a woman feel really, in control of her body. They make her feel glamorous, and not glamorous as in like hair and makeup, lights and everything, but they just make you feel very confident about yourself, about being a woman. But plus they do make you feel glamorous on the other side too, because they have the best hair and makeup people and some of the best photographers, one of which I'm still great friends with, who was actually the photographer that shot me when I won the contest. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to work with Playboy, it's a one in a lifetime opportunity, and I was humbled to be able to do it.
That brings up my other question of like, when you get cast in a role, having done Playboy for 10 years, which is amazing. When you think about like that type of industry, what would you classify Playboy as? Is it
I would classify
nude art?
No, I would glamour. We call it glamour in the industry whenever, it's like there's glamour is pretty much girls who portray themselves as sexy.
Mm-hmm.
There's glamour, there's fashion, there's commercial, there's editorial.
Okay. So the term is glamour. Okay, good. That educates me. That's good to know. When you get a role for a movie, which is like a horror movie, where you're going to have to get naked, does it make it easier to be like, oh, I can do that because I did it for Playboy for 10 years? Even, as you get older and you feel like I'm not, I still, like, I saw, what was the movie I texted you about? The documentary. you know, and that's just a few years old. And I was just like, God, she looks amazing in this movie. And, you know, you don't look like your age at all, which is fantastic. And does the work in Playboy help you to want to continue doing roles like that later on in life?
You know, it was never my choice to ever be naked or nude or anything. But it's made me, working with them has made me very comfortable with my body. And so, you know, the body is just a body. We all have the same parts. They just look different because we take care of them differently. And I've learned to see my body as something that I shouldn't be ashamed of. And that I should be proud of as long as I take care of it. And so, no, I've never had a problem being naked on screen, but Playboy did have a big part of that because it showed me that I had a nice body or have a nice body, and that I shouldn't, as long as I portray my body in an elegant, classy way, then I have no problem ever showing it. You know, doesn't mean I want to be naked throughout an entire movie. It has to be a reason why why I'm nude. But it's never been a problem with me to have to be naked on screen or anything like that. I don't have those kind of hangups. And what I noticed was with a lot of people, men or women, actors and actresses, as they get older, even the ones that deem themselves, you know, quote unquote, very serious actors, it seems like the older they get, the more they want to take off to prove a point, as in they still have it. And so I've always shown it. So it's never been a problem with me. Oh, cool.
We've done all of the Lost Boys. We did the entire film, The Lost Boys. So we break it down like, so the first 5 minutes of the movie, we talk about the credits. We talk about whatever, you know, the scrolling shot might be.
That's very cool. I love that. No, I haven't heard of this, but it's interesting. I'll have to start listening in because Lost Boys, I have this really weird fascination with vampire culture. And for some reason, I tend to bite people a lot. I think it's just, when I used to drink and you get kind of like, I don't know, people get kissy face. I kind of get bitey things.
You should come on the Vampire Movie Minute podcast. The film that we're covering right now is called Life Force, which was a sci-fi vampire movie directed by Tobe Hooper.
Well, this is just perfect because my upcoming movie that I'm starring in March is called Blood Covered Chocolate, and it deals with vampires. So maybe after that you could cover our movie 5 minutes at a time.
We're set up for the next couple movies, and it does take a long time to get through the film, especially when you're only doing like 5 minutes of the film at a time. I will keep it on the back burner. I have the IMDb up for it right now. When a recovering drug addict named Massimo is bitten by an ancient shape-shifting monster, he must fight to save his girlfriend, Teen, you, from the same bloody fate. The reason I bring this up is we're covering a movie called Life Force, and it was this sci-fi movie. Came out 36 years ago now. It is famous for one particular thing. The main female lead of the movie, the vampire of the movie, is naked 18 minutes of her 20 minutes of screen time. She has no clothes on. When we first see her and her male compatriots, they're all stark naked. She is naked walking around the base. When she is killing people, later on, she just takes her robe off. Nudity, nudity, nudity. Nothing but nudity. Not a stitch. She doesn't even steal someone's clothes. Or she does at some point. But just back to the nudity. And like the special effects makeup artist who's on one of the 3 commentaries for the film is talking about how like every time she's on scene where she's naked, there is somebody just touching her up left and right to make her just completely flawless. And she was this 18-year-old actress, model who didn't speak a lick of English.
Well, think of it this way, it's think about the wardrobe cost for that show is very low. You got a whole department when all your actors are nude all the time.
Definitely. How many times would you say you played a vampire?
Oh my gosh, at this point, let's see.
Do you have a chart listed of like how many times you've died, how many times you survived, how many times you played a vampire, a hooker, a monster?
No, and these are kind of fun stats. I wish I had like the NFL stat people to keep track of all this stuff for me.
You should get your I'm sure you have an assistant or your manager be like, hey, listen, this is what I paid you for. So you're going to watch everything I've ever done and keep track of how I died, when I died. Did I survive? Was I a hooker? Was I a vampire? Was I a werewolf? Was I a whatever?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I played a stripper a bunch of times, so that I can tell you is probably. I think that the one role I played the most, I think, is the role of a stripper, and I think I've played it on every major television show, like on the major like 3 networks. So that's a crazy kind of stat, but never one in real life.
Does that come easy from being in like Playboy?
No, it just comes easy from knowing like, how your body moves, and then I mean it's
I've heard that's not easy. Like I've had strippers on the show that have been like, it is some work because like I couldn't lift my own body weight, and I was like, go to the
I
gym,
don't
pump the iron, come back and try it again.
I don't pole tricks pretty much. That's like a different category of stripper for me. I just, I kind of just ride around and look pretty. Yeah, but I don't climb the pole.
It looks so hard. Every time I've seen it, I'm just like, God, I can't even lift my own body strength up. This looks too hard for me. Do you do your own stunts?
A lot of them I do, but if it's more intricate, then no. They'll bring a stunt double in for me, and I'll just end up doing the beauty shots part of the stunts. But I'm learning stunts, and in a couple of films, I've done like the smaller stunts, like with the guns, and some punching. But I don't do a lot of tumbling and any of that stuff. I don't do like long choreographed fight scenes. Those are usually for my stunt double.
In any of the films that you've done that have a monster in it that's not there, that they put in post later on in CGI, do you find that to be annoying? Can you act against thin air, or do they give you something to focus on to be like, this is the thing that is going to be, done in computers, after we're done?
I actually kind of feel like it's kind of fun because usually they will give you a line or like an eye line
Yeah.
that's usually like a tennis ball or something. And I think it's actually kind of fun because I can imagine in my head, and I have a pretty vivid imagination. If I just know the scene, then I can kind of roll with it myself, as long as I get the choreographed movements right. Um, there was one movie that I did called The Mummy's Kiss Second Dynasty, where there was an actual mummy that they used, and I have to say that was good because I'm a big pussy in real life. Like I do a lot of horror films, but I still get scared. Like every screaming, shouting scene, every frightened scene, that's me. I'm real jittery, normally, anyways. And so they had used a mummy, and the reactions were like great for that movie because the thing just looked horrifying, and I was scared every time. But actually, no, it doesn't bother me if it's all green screen because I think it's kind of fun, especially afterwards to see how they put it in and put us together.
What scares you in real life then?
What scares me in real life? Bad manners. I think that's about the only thing that really scares me.
Really? Bat, no, but not like spiders or snakes or bats or something.
I mean, I'm kind of used to all that stuff. I don't like to be around them. They creep me out, but they don't necessarily scare me. I think more the stuff that scares me is psychological, real things that can happen. Like people actually can be scarier.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like people can be the scariest things in real life because the mind's a terrible thing, and there are some crazy people out there. But that's why I like things like Friday the 13th, Halloween. They don't really scare me because that stuff doesn't that real. Serial killers scare me.
I think the thought of dying alone scares me.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, it takes on a whole different meaning, during these times in the past year. But I feel you. I feel you.
You deal with a bevy of like most of your IMDb. And I'm not the biggest expert on your IMDb. I'm on your filmography. I apologize. I tried to squeeze in a few things that I hadn't seen before, like the documentary and Shark and Saw Women Prison. But you definitely have a large body of supernatural elements to your films. Do you believe in the supernatural?
You know what? It was weird. I don't. It's not that I don't believe in the supernatural. Like I don't know. Like ever since my mom passed, the weirdest thing was okay. So my mom had passed, and the day that I was coming back from her funeral, I had a flight, and I was looking out the window, and you ever look at clouds and you see actual things in the clouds? You see pictures,
Yep.
and interpret what they want to see, or maybe they actually see it. And clouds move so fast anyways. But I remember we were almost about to get into LA. We're still above in the clouds. And I looked out, and I don't know if you've ever seen just like an emoji of just like a female's eyes, but just with lashes, you know?
Yep.
I looked out, and I could have sworn I saw two clouds that looked like female eyelids with lashes. And it was almost like a female face looking, you know, at me. Because I was real sad during this time. And then I was like, oh my God, I was trying to get my phone out because I wanted to take a picture of it. And by the time I got my phone out, of course, we had passed that cloud formation. But then I saw a white plane going in one direction and then a black plane going in another direction. And I don't know and that I was able to take a picture of. And for some reason, it just meant something to me. And it kind of felt like it was my mom saying, it's okay, I'll always be here with you. You know, the dark has passed. And I don't know. I read something into it. And sometimes a lot of things have happened to me, you know, in life after her passing that I felt like this can never have, like, I could never have been this lucky, or I could never have been saved. You know, I should have gotten hurt during this. But someone out there, some angel, something like just saved me, or has been looking out for me. So I guess in that respect, maybe I would say that I believe in the supernatural, because people always say, right, I feel like there's an angel out there, like looking out for my soul, or you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My mom or my dad is watching over me, or my sister or my brother. And so I used to not think that way, but recently, you know, I have. And so I don't know that I believe in ghosts, but then you know what they say about ghosts, right? Ghosts are souls that have not, you know, they haven't gotten closure, and they died a certain way, and they just kind of still roam between the here and the there, trying to find closure still. So yeah, I guess I believe in something more than what we are. Ghouls and goblins, I don't know about that though.
But you believe in vampires because you said you like to bite people, so.
Well, I mean, I just have I don't know what the deal is with biting, and maybe it's just like acting out because I have this vampire, like, you know, fascination. But you know, everything about a vampire is kind of sexy and strong.
I like them when they're sexy, and I like them when they're actually monstrous. Like, you look at the vampires on the TV series The Strain; those were definitely not sexy vampires.
Yeah.
You lose your lower anatomy, and all your hair falls out, and you have this giant pincer tongue thing that comes out, and you get all pasty white, and these worm creatures are living inside your body. Yeah, that's just not like Lestat or Angel, you know?
Right. But you know, in my head, I think to walk the earth with normal human beings, you have to disguise yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And if they're smart enough and they're powerful enough, should be able to disguise themselves to be able to walk amongst their prey without being found. So
we just completed me and my artist partner on Kickstarter, a project. We took the entire cast of Dracula and we gender swapped the whole cast as a graphic novel.
Very cool. Oh yeah, I think you were telling me about that. That's a novel thing to do. That's super cool.
Yeah, we are printing it soon, and I'm finally happy that it's over. That it's been 4 years of this project with various artists, and then me and an artist that had worked on it a little bit previously. It was just a cover. It was just like, this is what I have time available. Why don't we do this? And I was just like, fine, let's just do it. I'll pay whatever your rate is, and we'll get it done. You know, and his work has been outstanding, and he is like banging the rest of the pages out so we can get them printed and shipped to the Kickstarters ASAP.
That's so cool.
You are a massive food cooking junkie person. I saw your photos and everything that you were into food, and I was just like, beyond her body of work and beyond how beautiful she is. I love this woman just based on what she's showing us on Twitter for food and stuff, and Instagram.
Oh my gosh, I'm a foodie. It's like to the max. Like, I love food. Like I always say, you know, there are people who eat to live. I actually live to eat. I mean, and it's always been a constant struggle too, because I also have to maintain my body weight because of my career. But yeah, I love to cook. And I think one of the biggest things is I have a show on YouTube called Breaking Bread. I think one of the biggest things why I love food so much is because for me, it's not so much, scarfing down a bunch of food just to get it over with and to make sure you don't pass out, or die. But it's more that feel of being able to have social time with people around you who are also eating. That's why I don't really like to eat on the run. I like to sit and I like to eat a meal at a table across from someone or next to somebody so you can have that time to talk too and to socialize, basically breaking bread. And I also love when I cook for people, especially if it's like more than one or two people. It feels like communal, and it's a great time to be with other people. And it just, food makes people happy. There's so many
Yeah.
things in the world that make you not happy, but food generally makes people happy. And I love that. I love that feeling of being around that.
I feel like I need to make a more of an. I mean, obviously in 2020, it was very easy to make more of an effort to cook food because you were supposed to stay inside. So go to the grocery store, then go home. That's it. You know what I mean? Don't go out. Don't go to the restaurants. Get takeout if you have to, but honestly, just try to avoid just leaving your home as much as you can. And I made a an effort to be like, okay, I own all these cookbooks. I am gonna cook something from one of these cookbooks every week. And then I got this one cookbook tied to a television show I have been a fan of for the 15 years it was on the air. It recently just ended, and we do a podcast about it. And I took that cookbook. I've made like 10 different items from that cookbook, and there are like those tasty, the tasty show that's on Facebook that you see pop up, the tasty videos or whatever that show you in like really hyped up speed how to put a recipe together. I've copied those plenty of times, and I want to do more and more of that in 2021. Not just because of my own health, and feeling like I can put into a meal what I know is going to go in there versus buying it at a restaurant or God forbid, fast food, but also just to improve my own skills in cooking. And I bought like all these new kitchen gadgets, like the crock pot I showed you, and now I want to get like a panini press. And I know bread is bad for you, but it would definitely be like in moderation. But I have been cooking like a heck of a lot more breakfasts. You know what I mean? Eating like a lot more eggs to try and help me lose weight and stuff like that.
Great. I applaud anyone, for making the step towards cooking because no matter what you make it, I mean, if you buy like fresh ingredients, eating less processed foods is great. I mean, I still think support as many of your local cafes and eateries as possible. But yeah, cooking at home is always going to be more nutritional, have more nutritional value for you and be better for your health. So I think that's great, and I'm happy you're working your way through all that cookbook. Cookbooks aren't just for what is it, bookends.
No, and I like we cookbooks also got to have like a thing for me. They can't just be like Betty Crockett or Julia Child. I mean, as great as those are, I need to have a cookbook to be doing something that I'm into. And I have a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge cookbook, which is the restaurant at the Star Wars theme park, and I have the Supernatural cookbook. I have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pizza cookbook. And do you remember the old TBS show Dinner and a Movie? This was on TBS's cable network. Friday nights, they would have a recipe and a movie that would tie into the recipe. So during the commercial breaks, they would come back to the host in the kitchen to tell you, how the recipe is coming along.
No, but I think that's a novel idea.
Yeah, and I wish like somebody would do that today. Like there are cooking shows on YouTube. Me and you have a cooking show, but I definitely gravitate more to like the themes of like cooking that are into something I'm into. You know what I mean? I can make an omelet very easily. Shockingly, before the pandemic, I could make scrambled eggs very well, but omelets always eluded me. Now, since during the pandemic, I have become an expert at making an omelet, and
You know what? You just gave me a great idea for a new cooking show, so maybe I will try that.
doing what, dinner and a movie.
Yeah, maybe I will try that.
That's what, yeah. Pick a movie, maybe one of your bodies of work, and just be like, we're gonna make whatever the killer made in this movie. Or something, or pick a regular, a mainstream film that people are familiar with. You know what I mean? Just don't show don't. Apparently, you can show clips on YouTube now, but you can't have the audio with the clip. It's weird. their copyright stuff is constantly bouncing back and forth. Have you like encountered any problems on social media over the last like while of like trying to post something and then getting ripped about it by the people who run the social media platform? Facebook doesn't allow you to swear anymore, and you can't post songs anymore, if you can believe that.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that recently too, and it kind of sucks because it's not like I'm trying to make money off of it, or anything. Or a lot of people, I don't know, maybe some people are because everything's going social media wise. The social media has become one big commercial for one big shopping mall. But I can get both sides because the people who do have the rights to that, obviously it's their body of work. They put the money out to produce it, and so they should get any kind of revenue that is generated from it. So I can kind of see both sides, but it's annoying too, but it's like it prompts you to create your own material, and I think that's what the social media owners are trying to do. They're trying to be fair to the artist.
Yeah, the music thing I completely understand, but it even seems like if you want to post like directly from the artist's YouTube channel, their song, their music video to your Facebook, it's blocked immediately.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. And also, if you type in anything in any comment, message, maybe private messages between people, you're still okay, because I got away with a couple F-bombs recently. But posting something on your page or a comment to something using any foul language, this thing immediately pops up the Facebook saying they're going to throw you in Facebook jail if you continue.
Yeah, well, you know what? I guess there's going to have to be a cable Facebook then.
I guess so. It's definitely a bit ridiculous. You have coming up this blood-covered chocolate, which I don't have a lot of information about online on IMDb, so please tell us about it. And also, the Ghost City of Insurrection just has a cool title, so talk about that. And then I got a big question about Jim Wynorski, but that will be the end of it.
So I just finished up a movie in Houston called The Ghost City of Insurrection, and in it I play a lady mob boss, and she's pretty badass. It's a total action movie. It's about the ghost, which is some person, or I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's basically about kind of like a vigilante. It's got some pretty big names in it. Tom Sizemore is in it, and they're still shooting right now, so I can't say too much about it. But do look him up on IMDb, and you can also look him up, The Ghost, on Facebook, The Ghost City of Insurrection on Facebook. We have a page for it. You can see all the different characters that are being played and some of the storyline to get your appetite whetted and your anticipation up for when it does come out. And then in March, I have a psychological thriller coming out that has to do with vampires, and it's called Blood Covered Chocolate. And in that one, I play a dramatic role of the girlfriend of a guy who is bitten by a supernatural character being, and then he's trying to save me from succumbing to the same fate that he has succumbed to.
Cool.
So it should be interesting. We start shooting that in March, so I'm looking forward to that.
You're top billing on that movie too, by the way.
I am. I'm so excited. Yeah, and it's my first dramatic role this year, so I'm super excited because I've been wanting to do more dramatic roles. I do a lot of my stuff is comedy, even if it is like horror. It's horror comedy, and so I'm excited to be able to do a psychological thriller and have a dramatic role in it.
There was a movie a few years ago. It was a werewolf movie though called Blood in Chocolate. Did you ever see that?
No, I haven't.
Just don't.
Oh, okay.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. What movies are you a big fan of?
I love watching documentaries about music and about entertainment, and then I also love watching pretty much anything that has to do with like the mob. I don't know why I'm fascinated with it. Like good old movies like Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather, Scarface, something about that. I really am engrossed in. What else? I love anything that has to do with music and art. I pretty much watch everything, I feel like I watch probably 3 movies a week. It's almost like research for me too. But yeah, most of the stuff that I like to watch is action based.
we'll stick to vampires, as I'm a huge fan of that genre. Obviously, written that graphic novel. I have been always immersed into that world. I think it's because my mother let me read before I even understood what the context of the book was about. Interview with a Vampire. And I tried to do a book report about it when I think I was like 10 or 11 years old. I might have been 10 years old, trying to read this very adult book. And my reading skills were very good for my age. But my teacher was like, you cannot do a book report about this.
well, damn her then, because not literally, but wow, that's quite an undertaking for like a 10-year-old, to read an Anne Rice book.
I didn't understand almost half of what I was reading. Now, I went back and reread it years later as a teenager and an adult. Yeah, I totally got it. And I was like, oh, look at all the subtext in this book. Now I understand that movie is so much more because I think it was that what happened. I saw the movie, and then I was like 15 years old. I reread the book. Because I think that's when the movie came out, when we were like 15, right? Yeah. 1995. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, I totally getting it now. And then later on as an adult and I'm more mature, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And there is a vampire. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
You go and you watch cartoons that we watched when we were younger, and you watch them now as an adult. There's a lot of things in there that you didn't catch when you were younger either, because adults are writing these cartoons.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I totally get that sometimes with certain cartoons, that sometimes I'm just like, are they writing for really stupid children, or they're writing because this is the way they think children talk? This is terrible. Or wow, that still holds up. Or that's okay. I understand why they're writing it the way they are. You watch like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example of something that still holds up from the 80s.
If you watch a lot of like the Mickey Mouse stuff, or some of the Looney Tunes,
right?
There's a lot of subtext in that kind of stuff.
I think Looney Tunes holds up a lot better than old Disney Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Yeah, no, Looney Tunes is like, it's very. I thought it was very adult,
especially with the way they brought back Animaniacs recently on Hulu. And they did a big like 2020 update since the last time they were on the air. I was like, this is hilarious. And they covered like every event in world history from like 1998, when was the last time we saw them, all the way to like 2020. Yeah. They mentioned the coronavirus. They mentioned everything in politics. I'm not going to get into it, but we know what we're talking about. And it was like the best revival of a show. But there's a vampire show I'm watching that I'm reintroducing myself right now, that was on in I thought it was the mid 90s, but I was wrong. It was the early 90s, like 91, 92, 93, called Forever Night. It's about a cop who was actually this 800-year-old vampire.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember some of that.
Yeah, I got the DVDs like wicked cheap. They repackaged the DVDs. They were like $20, and I was like, all right, sure. And I'm rewatching it now, and yeah, it's got big hair and the just ridiculous. We don't know how to write cops sometimes. Storylines are a little bit much, but the mood setting of the music. Because I had the composer for the music on my show once, because he did the music for another show that we covered on a podcast. And after getting like more and more into episode after episode, I've been fully reimmersed in the show, and I'm like, I can look past any of the bad because the show is just that good at times. And if you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. Is there one particular piece of vampire media fiction that stands out to you?
You know what? One of my favorite shows, and it's great that you're kind of covering it right now on your other podcast, was the first time I ever saw The Lost Boys. I actually begged my mom to go out and just buy it after we back to Blockbuster, because I was like, I love this movie. I love it. I love it. I love it. And she got it for me. And I remember watching that movie once a week with my friends. Like, we would always go to someone's house, or they'd be at my house, and it'd be a sleepover, and we'd watch it. And it was just like that was just the coolest movie. From the vampires were cool, the non-vampires were cool. The mom was cool, the setting was cool. And it was just, and the music was so good. I remember that was the first time I heard People Are Strange by The Doors. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who is this? I love this song. But that movie, and then I really love that one movie too, Queen of the Damned, with Aaliyah.
That was interesting. I had never read the book before I watched that movie. And I watched the movie going, this is okay, but something seems off. And then I've watched people who've dissected the movie and compared it to the book, like in YouTube, and been like, oh, right, yeah, no, I can understand why people hate this movie.
Well, yeah, it's it's like you'll never be able to capture the essence of a book of literature in a movie,
Right.
because it's like that would be like 1,000-page script.
Right. That'd be like Lord of the Rings, which is what Peter Jackson did. He still had to cut stuff out. He still had to like condense stuff. But I mean, you would have to make like Lord of the Rings sometimes. And not everybody wants to make Lord of the Rings vampire. I mean, it's just there's never ever 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 going to be like Lord of the Rings done again, especially after the coronavirus. It was okay, they did do it. It was The Hobbit, and The Hobbit was like mixed results. So because you took like one book and turned it into three-hour movies, it was like, guys, seriously, we don't need this much material. And now they're doing a TV series on Amazon Prime. But you're never going to get that again. But we are supposedly getting an interview with the Vampire Chronicles TV series, and we were supposed to get a Lost Boys TV series. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So
there was a show on HBO called True Blood that I was on. It was about vampires.
Oh, you were on True Blood.
I thought that was a really good show, and they did it really well. And they did it really well as long as they went along with the books.
Uh-huh.
But then the book stories ended. You could tell like the writing was getting a little sloppy because they were trying to keep on adding to the story that had already ended. But I thought that was a really well done series, and I really enjoyed being in that too. And I love the way they depicted vampires in that, and the hierarchy and everything, until the vampires started becoming politicians, and then it got to be a bit much. But yeah, those are a couple of the ones that I really enjoy being in. And then Bram Stoker's Dracula will always be probably one of the top of my list. It was so well done. The cinematography was so beautiful in that, and the story was amazing. And I'm just a big Gary Oldman fan too, so that ranks up there with Lost Boys. It's a totally different kind of feel, but one of my favorite vampire stories.
The Lost Boys TV series, apparently they changed so many things. It was completely unrecognizable to the test audience. They changed. Okay, so first of all, they weren't the Frog Brothers. They were the Frog Sisters, and it was two sisters who moved with their dad. They basically just gender swapped a lot of characters, and it just became this complete unrecognizable mess.
Yeah,
Test audiences were like, "What are we watching? What is the show?"
Very put off by that.
Oh, they were insanely put off by it. It was it's considered to be one of the top 10 worst tested pilots to a TV series ever. And they said, okay, we're going to go back and shoot this again. This time we're actually going to make it just like the movie. And then COVID-19 happened. So who knows where the project is now.
Look forward to then. Hopefully they'll try it out, sticking more to the way the movie was actually done.
Right. I'm all for hey, I want to make this one character a woman, or hey, let's, change the skin of this one character to make them Asian, Hispanic, black, whatever, because the Lost Boys is a very all completely white cast, and that's fine. But when you change so many things to make it completely unrecognizable to, I don't know who was in the test audience, and I've never met anyone who's ever been in it, but I saw a post about somebody saying I was in that test audience, and I know that movie inside and out, and I didn't know what I was watching, and I gave them my honest 100% opinion. This is unwatchable. You will lose everything in the first season of this show. I put in my comments.
That's good. That's what you want a test audience to do, is give them your actual genuine response and feelings. So I'm happy that a lot of people did that too, because it probably would have ended up costing them a lot of money down the drain if they had gone through with the entire season.
Right. And then I started worrying about my own project because, again, we were taking the entire cast of Dracula that you're known familiar with, and we're gender swapping the cast. And I was like, oh, well, the Lost Boys is so much bigger than me. If they failed miserably, what hope do I have? And I kind of got that mentality out of my head. But because, yes, we've gender swapped the cast of Dracula, but everyone's name is still so closely associated with the name that you're familiar with. You know what I mean? And the roles are the same. You know what I mean? And the story is pretty much the same. We add a few things here and there. But, I've had more than one person read it and go, this totally makes sense. I totally get what you're doing, and it's a fine story.
That's good. I'm excited for you guys. This seems like a fun, like passion project that took a while. So
Too long. Too long. And you have, before we let you go, you are working once again with the great Jim Wynorski. What is Jim like to work for as a director?
love working with Jim. I've worked with him for I just probably over a decade now, and I have never had a problem with Jim. I can tell you that. I've always loved working with him. He's definitely a character though, and he's an acquired taste as far as directing goes because he's brilliant. He's very brilliant, but basically the best advice I could give anybody that's going to work with him, whether they, especially if they're a cast, not just crew, is that you come prepared for everything. You have to come prepared. You cannot come unprepared on his set because if you do, it's going to be a very long day for you. Because I've seen people cry because he's a teddy bear at heart, but he doesn't have a filter sometimes. So if you suck, he's going to let you know you suck. And as many times as you suck, he will let you know. And a lot of people, you got to have a thick skin with them. But as long as you come prepared, he's amazing to work with. He's brilliant. He's funny. He's a really good filmmaker too. Like everything is in his head. And I can't applaud him enough. I mean, he's done, I don't know how many films at this point. He's employed so many actors and he's created a really cool family. He has a really cool like family of cast and also of crew that he works with. And he works with a lot of talented people from, his director of photographies to his sound people. And Bigfoot or Bust, which is the latest movie I did with him, it was basically an unscripted comedy about Bigfoot. And, I walked into it, and most of the actresses walked into it going, oh my God, what are we getting into? There's no script. Oh my God, this is going to be horrendous. It actually turned out hilarious. Like, seriously, really funny because somehow or other, everything every day happened, like small things that we think, oh my God, this is horrible, played perfectly into the script. So it was almost like a reality-based searching for Bigfoot, which turned out great. So I can't say enough about it. I walked away from it like really happy with what we did. Having walked into it, having like, oh my God, what's going on? What did I get myself into? So it's something to look forward to, and hopefully it comes out within the next couple of months because I know they're editing it right now. But Jim is so much fun. If anything, you just want to be on a set just to watch Jim. He's just funny. He's just a funny guy. Even when he's upset, he's pretty funny.
He had quite a number of stories. In fact, he came on during the height of, I mean, we're at the height of the pandemic again right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for people who are listening in the future, but the time we're recording this, it's January of 2021. We're still in the thick of nonsense, basically. But he came on back in April of 2020, and I think it was Bigfoot and Bust that he was talking about with me, that he was upset that had to be pushed back and changed because of the pandemic. But he was getting all of the Hollywood protocols in place and things needed to get things done, when they were allowed to go back to filming at some point. So
Yeah, we had to push it back because that was about the time that we were going to start shooting it. We were
did
going to start shooting earlier this year, and he just kept on having to push it back and push it back. But it was a good thing. It's better safe than sorry. And we all came out, on the positive side. Positive is not positive for COVID, but positive is in no one got sick. We were all good. We finished the film. And we're moving forward with it finally after talking about it for so long. So
did
I'm really happy for him. And the cast was really great too, because throughout the whole thing, cast members came and went. And I think at the very end, the group of women that he got together, they were all awesome. Everyone was a great improv actress and good senses of humor and just really good team members, because when you improvise an entire movie, that can be a really difficult thing to do, but everything rolled really smoothly. So I have to give everyone props for that.
did you all have to like quarantine together? Were you guys all like living in the same area so no one went anywhere to accidentally get infected?
No, we're pretty much, we were like, all of us were COVID negative. And then, he had the gun every day that we could use. So, nope, well, you just kind of know too. It's almost like an honor system that once it's kind of like when you're on an NFL team and they let you go home. you're not going to go to like a strip club, you know, and hang out or go to a party afterwards.
Unfortunately, there seem to be NFL players left and right constantly getting sick.
Yeah, but the thing is like, you know, and it's different too. When you shoot a movie, you're basically shooting about 12 hours a day. So the only thing you have time to do is go home, go to sleep, and come right back on set. So, yeah, I think you know, and it's like we're all adults too, and we take each other's personal health and safety in regard. So everything was good.
That's good. That's good to hear. You know, I haven't heard of too many productions, independent, big and small. Um, Not saying there haven't been some, but there haven't been many that have had like just like constant like this set got infected, this set got infected, this set, and it was, you know, and to the point that you're just like, is anyone in Hollywood paying attention? So no, that hasn't happened. I mean, there's the rare case where it's like Robert Pattinson got sick. You know, he's filming the Batman right now.
I take it very seriously because I was on a huge Warner Brothers set for a movie called King Richard, which is about Venus and Serena Williams, and their father Richard Williams, and their life together as their coach and their manager. And that set, I'm talking, we had so many COVID precautions. Like every day we were tested. We had a huge test before we came in. We had rapid tests every day before we got onto set. Everyone was wearing PPE. So people in Hollywood take this very seriously because if you think about it, you know, a movie set, even to the smallest movie set, will be bigger than any office. It has to be 20 or more people. And it's not like we can really social distance that easily because we're acting, and the cameras, you have to be close to have a camera on you, you know? And so they put in all the safety protocols, which also unfortunately makes the budgets for these movies a bit larger because you're putting in a whole different division right now for safety. But everyone takes it super seriously. And as you see, like some people, like big actors, have gone off on set, like Tom Cruise on his latest set, when he saw that some people weren't taking it seriously, went off because, you know, an entire production and people's livelihoods can be shut down because of one or two people that decide, oh, it's not for them, or it's, you know, it's against their like physical human rights or whatever, as a whatever citizen, you know. So no, everybody here in Hollywood that I've worked with and that I've seen so far takes it very seriously, so we can keep on churning out good entertainment, which we need during this COVID time.
Why don't you plug your social media where fans can find you?
I'd love to. So on my social medias, I have 4. My first one is Facebook, and it's Facebook. And then my tag is the number 1 and my full name, Christine Nguyen, Nguyen, and then the number 1. My Instagram is the number 1 and then my full name, Christine Nguyen. And my Twitter is a little different. My Twitter's handle is N as in Nancy, CRYSTEAN. And then I also have I have 2 YouTube channels. For those of you who don't care about food and just want to see funny, silly, or sexy, or, you know, interesting things, my YouTube channel is YouTube/C/CEENN. And then my other YouTube channel, my cooking one, if you guys are into food, into learning how to like food demonstrations or the history of food, that one is youtube.com/C/breakingbread. Those are the ways you can find me.
Awesome. I wish you all the best of luck coming up with your current projects and future projects, and wish you the best of health and good luck with your YouTube cooking channel. Feel always free to share any recipe that you may have concocted with me.
I had so much fun, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on your show.